I just realized that my shirt is inside out. Oh, off to a great start. Off to a great start. Perfect. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here then welcome. My name is Carolyn. This is my first video since reaching 10,000 subscribers here on YouTube on my channel, and that is just mind-blowing. I can't believe that so many of you like listening to me talk about my bookish rambles and just like seeing my videos. So thank you so much for being part of my booktube journey. You guys mean the world to me. And I was thinking about how so many books have really changed my life, and that made me think about I could make that into a video, all the books, or I was thinking like top 5 books that have changed my life. And of course I was ranking them, so I made a list and I was ranking them thinking of all the different ways that specific books have changed my life, and I was on Anna Karenina by Tolstoy, my favorite book of all time, and the list was so long that I thought it would be a really fun series to highlight one book that has changed my life in a series of books that have changed my life, and tell you guys a little bit about how they've changed my life. So this is the first video of my Books That Have Changed My Life series. Of course I am starting with Anna Karenina by Tolstoy because it is the book that has probably changed my life the most. It is my favorite book of all time, so of course I had to start with it. Definitely let me know if you like this idea, and I would just be so happy to talk to you about all the books that mean the world to me and that have changed me in little and big ways. So without further ado, I'm just going to start talking to you guys about how Anna Karenina has changed my life and how it's changed my life in little ways and big ways at the same time. So here we go. So the first big way that Anna Karenina has changed my life was when I started reading it in January of 2020. Yes, January 9th of 2020. I filmed my experience reading it for reading vlogs, and that was actually my first reading vlogs on this channel, was me documenting not only reading Anna Karenina but also reading other books as well. I don't know if it was the concept of reading vlogs that kind of grew my following or just that people enjoyed more, but those were the videos that I got wonderful responses on, and I started creating these wonderful friendships through filming that reading vlog and also documenting it on my Instagram. So documenting the reading experience really began my love for reading vlogs and also just my love for the bookish community, because so many people were they told me that they were looking for videos about the book Anna Karenina, and they stumbled upon my reading vlogs and they wanted to read it after watching me read it, so that was just an incredible thing. It really made me able to meet so many wonderful people and to just make lovely connections. So that is one reason of why reading the book has changed my life, is because even while reading it, not even having finished it, I started creating such wonderful friendships and this lovely community on my channel. So that was just the best. Another way it changed my life is that it became my favorite book of all time. Tolstoy became my favorite author of all time, and therefore every other book that I read, I compare it to Anna Karenina and I compare the writing to Tolstoy's writing. I feel like, I'm sure you guys can relate to that if you have one book in your mind that you think is the best book you've ever read, and you sort of use that as a gauge when reading other books or rating other books. I know that for me, I try not to compare all the other books that I read to Anna Karenina, because I kind of feel like that's a bit unfair, because maybe they're a different genre or written in a different time or written by very different people with different experiences. No one book is the same. Even Tolstoy's books are so different from each other. But I always have that feeling of when I'm trying to rate a book or when I'm reading a book and experiencing a book, I have such a hard time not relating it to my love and passion for Anna Karenina, and the writing in general is impeccable, so I always feel like I look for and I strive for this specific type of writing that I love in Tolstoy's books, and when I find it or find something similar in other books, then it's just the best ever. So yes, I also, relating to that, how else it has changed my life, another reason, is that I am also a writer, and I try very hard to figure out the different aspects of Tolstoy's writing, as well as so many other writers that I admire, and implement it into my own writing. I am currently in a creative writing class. I am in my last year at university, and in this class we have little writing experiments, which my professor calls imagination sandboxes, where it's basically just a place where you can kind of play around, try different styles, try out different stories, and just have fun. And for my last writing assignment, I wrote about a Russian man experiencing war, and I tried to sort of implement my favorite aspects of Tolstoy, but also make it more me. So I took inspiration from Tolstoy's writing and put a little Carolyn spin on it. And I just really love doing that, because I feel like most writers, all writers, are also mainly readers. And during one of my other creative writing classes, one of my other professors said that in order to be a good writer, you have to do two things. You have to write a lot, of course, and you have to read a lot, because being a reader and being a writer go hand in hand. You have to be a reader to be a writer, in a sense. And so I always think about that, and I think about how all the books that I've read, especially Anna Karenina, have really influenced me and my writing. And another way that this book has changed my life is one of the main characters, Konstantin Dmitrovich Levin, became my favorite fictional character of all time, and my favorite fictional lead, or male lead, and he is just an incredible, incredible character. He is flawed, but in a really beautiful and raw and honest way, and he seems so real. And when I was reading about him, it didn't feel like I was reading about a character, it felt like I was reading about a real person, and I got so swept up in his story that he just became like a close friend to me, and I cared about him so deeply. And so again, reading all other books, trying to compare my attachment to Levin while I'm reading other books. I try not to, because again, it's very hard not to, because all books are very different, so you can't really compare characters, but there's like a scale in my mind of like loving a character and not really caring for a character, and Levin is at the top of my list, or at the far side of the scale. He feels like a friend to me, and sometimes I forget that he's fictional. The next one relates to Levin, and that is Tolstoy has given me unrealistic expectations for men and love. I'm just kidding. I'm sure that there are so many incredible men that are like Levin, or even better than Levin. Levin is definitely not a perfect person, but no one is, and I think that that's what makes him so beautiful. And so I always say, and I see so many memes and things about how classic authors, I've seen people talk about Jane Austen as well, give readers very unrealistic expectations of men and love, and I think Tolstoy definitely falls under that as well with Konstantin Dmitrovich Levin, because he is just amazing. I want to marry Levin, but again, he's fictional, so it just can't happen, which, you know, breaks my heart. Reading Anna Karenina also made me incredibly passionate to start reading more Russian literature. And before reading Anna Karenina, I don't think I read any other Russian classic. I started with How Much Land Does a Man Need by Leo Tolstoy, which is part of the Little Black Classics collection. It's just two short stories, How Much Land Does a Man Need and What Men Live by Leo Tolstoy. I wanted to read those first to kind of introduce myself to Tolstoy's writing, because I was very intimidated by Anna Karenina for obvious reasons, and it was just so wonderful to introduce myself to him. But yeah, that created this really deep desire to read more Russian literature and to kind of explore the genre in general. And without reading Anna Karenina and falling in love with it, I wouldn't have read some other wonderful Russian classics. And I can't wait to even continue on with my Russian literature journey and read many more amazing books. especially by Tolstoy. Just can't wait to read all Tolstoy's books, but also other Russian classics as well. Now, talking about my confidence in reading Anna Karenina, like I said, I was very intimidated by it, and I'm sure if you haven't read it, you might be intimidated by it as well, but after reading it and while reading it, I became a very confident classics reader, and it kind of felt like this incredible milestone in a way of I can read this really big, intimidating Russian classic and it's translated, and you know, it made me very confident in my reading, which may sound silly, but I think you guys might understand and feel the same way if you've read a really big, daunting book, and it gives you more confidence as a reader. And so after reading Anna Karenina, it made me so excited to read more books that intimidated me more. Another book that I also read in 2020, as well as Anna Karenina, is Les Mis by Victor Hugo. I was so scared of reading that book, again because it's a classic and it's translated and it's huge. So I feel like once you jump over one big book hurdle, then it makes all the other ones seem a bit more accessible. So I'm so grateful to pushing myself to read it, because now I feel more excited and confident and just happy to read bigger, scarier classics. My friend Emma also read Anna Karenina in 2020, or I believe actually at the end of 2019. We read it around the same time as each other, and she of course is my co-host for the Dickens versus Tolstoy debate/book club, and without reading Anna Karenina, for both of us and other Dickens books as well, we wouldn't have created the Dickens versus Tolstoy book club. So I'm so grateful just to even have that. It's such a big part of my life now. Every month we are reading a Dickens or Tolstoy book, and at the end of each work we are having a live show debate, and so many of you guys have joined, and I love that, and I'm so passionate about it. It's like the book club of my dreams is just reading two of my all-time favorite authors. Yeah, so I'm so glad that Emma and I both read Anna Karenina around the same time, and we are now in the process of reading more of his books and creating this whole book club with you guys. So many of you are so enthusiastic and supportive about the debate book club, and it makes Emma and I incredibly happy and incredibly excited to continue on and to further our Tolstoy and Dickens journey. Now, the next ways that Anna Karenina has changed my life are related to my artwork and to me as an artist. So this is going to sound a bit odd, but I really love drawing older people. I remember one of my professors, I go to university for illustration, and I remember one of my professors saying in one of our painting classes, or I think it was just a drawing class, they were saying that it's so much harder to draw a child realistically than to draw an older person, because a child has very smooth skin, and so your shading and your rendering has to be really smooth, and it just has to be very light and delicate to kind of affect the viewer in a way that comes across as childlike and realistic. Now, when you are drawing an older person, you have the wrinkles, and you have maybe the longer hair, or they might have a beard, or just wrinkles and shadowing and deeper, more accentuated features are a bit easier for artists to draw. And I am definitely one of those artists. I really do prefer drawing older people, specifically men. I know this is going to sound really weird, but I love something about the features of older men, and oh god, that sounds so weird. Please don't take this weird. This is so weird. Trying to explain it. But yeah, so I became so fascinated by Tolstoy's portraitures, and so I did a lot of research about his life, and I came across amazing photographs of him, and it started my love for drawing Tolstoy. I love doing different portraits of him, drawing different portraits of him, and he was also part of my first sale on my Etsy shop. So this is my first ever portrait of Tolstoy, and you guys can see it in a lot of my videos because I always have him on display. But this is my on-the-page author portrait of Leo Tolstoy. I have done a new one which will be in my next Etsy restock, which will hopefully be around the middle of March. I am hoping to restock my Etsy shop. I did do a new Tolstoy portrait, but this one is a portrait of when he was younger, and he is on the page of a different book, not Anna Karenina. For that one, he's on the page of Anna Karenina. And I also did another charcoal portrait, which I will put on the screen. I did I don't even know what to call it, like a collage style portrait of Tolstoy, which I just did like 3 of his portraits and I kind of combined it on the same page, and I was just really playing around. I wasn't doing it for a project or anything, it was just like as a artistic exercise, and I really liked how it came out. So I want to kind of do something a little bit more with that, maybe play around with Tolstoy's portraits and doing multiple on one page. So yes, I really am happy with how that one came out. This portrait specifically was part of my first Etsy stock, like I said, and that really changed my life probably the most, or one of the most ways that it has changed my life is because Etsy is now such a passion of mine, and sharing my art with you guys, and so many of you are so supportive and lovely, and I love seeing you receive my portraits in the mail. You guys send me pictures and it's just amazing, and so that is very life-changing because it's my first time really sharing and sending out my art in a physical form, as well as, if you guys can see up there, I'll put a picture up, but that is my hand painting for the book cover design that I did for Anna Karenina. And I did it for one of my uni assignments, and I also had it available as a postcard on my Etsy shop. And I am infatuated with hands. I think hands are a beautiful way of expressing emotion, and that's kind of what I did with this cover. There's a whole big metaphorical and symbolic explanation behind that book cover. I explained it in one of my videos, so if I can find which video I talk about it, I will link it down below, where I talk about the significance of the hands and what they represent and everything. But I want to do a bigger portrait of this one. The print is smaller than the original painting. The original painting, I want to say, is like 5 by 7, and these I believe are 4 by 6, around there, just a little bit smaller. But I want to do the same painting on a bigger scale, and so I can incorporate a bit more detail, a bit more precision and refinement and rendering and shading and light and shadow and all of that. So I feel like that would be really fun. Maybe I'll film my whole process of painting it. I have this vision in my mind of what I want it to look like and the style that I want it to look like. I kind of want it to replicate a lot of beautiful classical portraits and paintings, and yeah, that's in my mind. I am going to have to execute it sometime. I am currently in my last semester of uni, so I don't have time to do that right now, but that is definitely a project that I will do at some point. The next one is a bit silly, but I am part of the Dark Academics book club with my amazing friends, and for our Halloween live show we decided to dress up for Halloween because it was actually on Halloween, and I was thinking about who or what I wanted to dress up as, and I thought it had to be something literary, and if it had to be something literary, then it had to be something relating to, or someone relating to, Anna Karenina. Now, if you guys have seen the Keira Knightley, Joe Wright directed adaptation of Anna Karenina, it is a moving work of art. It is stunning. It is beautiful. It is one of my favorite movies of all time, probably top 3. In that movie, Keira Knightley, or Anna, has curly hair, or curly like brown hair. And who else has curly brown hair? Me! So I decided to dress up as Anna Karenina for our Halloween live show for the Dark Academics book club. So I will put some pictures of myself dressed as Anna Karenina. I try to appear very moody in those pictures. So the first one was inspired by one of her costumes in the movie, and then I also did a part 2 to it after the live show. I took my hair out of my hairstyle and I looked like Anna Karenina in the movie towards the end where she's a bit disheveled, so it was kind of like a 2-part Halloween costume, and that was just so much fun to do and to recreate. I really love makeup and fashion and hairstyles. I almost went to school for cosmetology, and I did go to school for fashion design for a little bit before switching to illustration, so I'm very passionate about a lot of different creative areas just in general, and so creating that was kind of combining all of my passions into one, dressing up, trying to pick out an outfit and the jewelry and doing my hair and my makeup to all replicate my favorite book was just so much fun. So yes, that was an amazing thing, and it didn't really change my life, but if I hadn't have read Anna Karenina, I wouldn't have dressed up as her for Halloween. So that is life-changing. You never realize how life-changing a book is. Even in really small ways, books change us so greatly, because all those little ways that we are changed by books adds up and creates who we are. And I think it's so wonderful to see how books really shape the person that we are and the people that we become. So those are all of the ways that Anna Karenina has changed my life. I'm sure there are many more, but those are the ones that I think are the most prevalent and obvious and fun to talk about. I feel like it will never stop changing my life. I am going to be rereading Anna Karenina for the Dickens versus Tolstoy debate, and I'm so excited. If you want to join us, and all of the information for it is in a story highlight on my and Emma's Instagram. I will also link the announcement video to the Dickens versus Tolstoy debate down below. All that Tolstoy information will be there at the ready for you, and I can't wait to reread it. I'm going to film an entire vlog just dedicated to my reading experience of it. And I'm nervous because it is my favorite book ever, and I hope that I have the same experience or maybe even better. Is that even possible? I mean, it's Tolstoy, so probably, but I can't wait for that. I'm so excited, and this time I am not just reading it by myself, I am reading it with all of you who are joining in, and I can't wait to just message back and forth, talk about the book. And if it's your first time reading it, I can't wait to hear your experiences reading it. I'm so excited. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I have plans of the other books that I want to talk about that have changed my life, so look out for that. If you like this series, then definitely let me know, and also let me know what books have changed your life. Maybe pick like the one book that comes to mind that you think has changed your life the greatest, and if you would like to share, then tell me how it has changed your life. I would love to know, and that way we can kind of recommend our favorite books to one another. I will never shut up about Anna Karenina. I talk about it a lot on this channel, so I hope you guys don't mind that. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you liked this video and like this video series idea. So you guys will have to keep an eye out for the next video in this series of the next book that has changed my life greatly, and you'll have to wait and see which book that is and how it has changed my life as well. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope that you're staying happy and healthy, and that you're reading some amazing life-changing books. I will see you soon in another video. Happy reading. Look at it. It's beautiful. I love it so much. Best book ever. Everybody read it. Everybody read it. Please. Please. Read it. Read it. Read it. Look at her. She's gorgeous.